Yo, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's up, Wednesday? It's now live in effect. Good people. All right, all right.
What it do, baby?
Hey, we got one in here.
What's going on?
Hey, I can't call it. I can't call it.
You gotta pardon Chino. The parking garage in my apartment is right across from my apartment, and
Mm.
the key fob is broken. So people, like, you never realize how smart people are until stuff like this happens.
All right, what innovations do they have today's going on?
People will swipe, but you hear the thing beep, then you hear them pull, and you would think, all right, it didn't work. So maybe they'll try one or two times. I be hearing people over there trying for the longest, like, bro, it has not worked for you the first couple times. Go to another door. It's not like that's the only door. You could go downstairs, you could walk to the other side. Like, instead, you're gonna break the door because you don't want to.
For sure.
I
Got
mean,
to.
it's ridiculous.
All right, what's up, guys?
What's
Malik,
going on? What's going on?
What's up? What's up?
Hey, I can't call it.
Cool, cool. I like your background, E.
Thanks, guys. You know what I'm saying? Told y'all we got these up, so everybody give it a chance. Especially, I love how Instagram Live been trying to, compete. So yeah, we got
Yeah,
them.
yeah, I like that. I like that.
Can't have you out here. You know that screen came in, so
I
we
see
did
you.
it.
I see you.
All right, all right, guys. Trying to set
Say,
my stuff up, but I don't know if it will. Well, all right,
y'all want to just jump into it?
why not?
let's get
So,
it.
what's up Wednesday? Where we talk about what's up, what's going on. There's a whole lot of things going on right now. I don't know where to start. I don't know if we should start with the minimum wage being so low all over the country that people can't afford to live. If you work a full-time minimum wage job, you can't afford to live anywhere in the United States. I don't know if we should start off by talking about inflation and how minimum wages affects how it affects those who make minimum wage. I don't know if we should start talking about space trips, or if we should start off by talking about Texas and them trying to take the KKK out of the curriculum.
Uh,
So maybe we should start with that and get that out the way.
All right, sound like a good little lineup for the day.
Yeah, it sounds good.
So for those of you guys who don't know, the state of Texas has decided to stop teaching about the KKK being bad in schools. Um, it's a double-edged sword with that. Like, I don't think that's a good idea to teach about that. I mean, to not teach about that because, you know, people need to know about it. It's a hate group and it's a part of our history, right? But on the flip side, they don't really teach about the Black Panther Party either. And you let certain people tell it, they're both terrorist groups. Although one was about protecting communities and feeding children, while the other one was about killing and lynching black folks because they were black. So, both are part of our history. Um, I just don't think it's a good idea. I think it goes to the whole trying to quote unquote whitewash the curriculum and trying to minimize people learning, especially black and white, because I think that when they take this stuff out of the curriculum, I think it does a disservice to not just black people, but also to white people, probably especially to white people, um, because it is a part of our American history, and I think that we should know that not only that the KKK existed, but that they continue to exist. Um, and it's going to be real interesting to see what happens with that. What do y'all think?
Um, I think they're trying to whitewash history, um, and trying to underplay a lot of the things that happened in American history and try to clean it up and change it. Try to hide the truth for the next generation. So maybe they'll be more passive and maybe they won't be so aggressive on certain changes that we see taking place today currently. I guess with the whole Black Lives Matter movement, regardless on how people view things with them. I know there are things that people don't like about Black Lives Matter, but those movements and other movements as well, and Black people pushing for reparations and things of that nature. I know a lot of those people, especially if they're white supremacists, they don't want to have to give out any type of economic benefits to Black folks here in the United States. So that's what I'm thinking. You got anything, E?
Certainly, yeah. I pretty much agree with what you guys were just saying. That with this being removed, first off, to what Sam's point was, like, one, you're not teaching about the Black Panther Party or other, social groups that may have been formed, but you do maybe, I guess, teach in a sense about the KKK. And honestly, I think it should be removed. To take a different standpoint from you guys, and saying that, like, in my personal opinion, that, like, it seems like when you have it in the schoolings, that it shows it as like a level of pride for those same exact reasons. If you're not going to show the Black Panthers and talk about what they brought to, society and what they meant for their community, but you're going to talk about, the KKK, and then people go and they look at their history and what they're talking about in their rhetoric, they can see that, and then it says, like, okay, well, our school even teaches us about them and not, you know what I'm saying, others, then it's almost like a sense of pride, because it's like, okay, the students have this here. We show y'all, like, look, this is how much we run this. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that we only talk about this group, you know what I'm saying, and not others that may have helped to liberate their people or look to try to make things better for individuals in their society. So that's why I think, removing it kind of can take away some of that, just like it does with the statues and things of that nature. That, people have said for Confederate generals and other individuals that have statues in the South that can be removed. Sure, take it all out, because at the end of the day, I think it's on the parents and the people to educate their children on that history, and then make sure that it doesn't it doesn't repeat itself.
So the thing I had to push back on you, Eve, because the thing about it is you have to know where you're going. In order to know where you're going, you have to know where you come from. You know what I'm saying? And part of that is understanding the whole history. So I think that it would be important to teach all of it as opposed to just some of it. I think the problem with not teaching it is it opens up doors and gives more room and credence to people like the KKK to live in the shadows. You know what I'm saying? Um, because remember, they still exist. I mean, the Black Panther Party still exists, but it's nowhere near like how it was before. Whereas the KKK, they're going around dropping stuff off at people's doors trying to recruit them. Newsletters and things like that. And with regards to taking down the statues, the Confederate statues, they still teach about the Confederacy in schools. Like, you can't teach about American history and not teach about the Civil War with the Union versus the Confederacy. But the thing is, it's like they're cutting out little aspects of that portion of the history. Like, you can just talk about the Confederacy and not talk about the KKK and how members of the KKK were all throughout the Confederacy. Just like if you talk about in today's society, you have KKK members who are in high places, whether it be in the court system, in politics, all laced throughout the police system. You know what I mean? Like, perfect example, I think it was in Missouri. I could be wrong. There was a councilman just yesterday. No, sorry, Monday. He got donkey of the day today. But from the Breakfast Club. But he got up and he asked because apparently he was getting questioned about some tweets that he made, and his wife made some racial tweets. And he got up and referred to the mayor, I believe she's black, as a house nigger. Got up and said it, house nigger. You see what I'm saying? Like he felt so emboldened and was super comfortable with that type of language. And I think, and when he was later asked whether or not he was a racist, he started pussyfooting around talking about, oh, that depends on your definition of racism. No, sir. Are you a racist? Do you hate black people? You know what I'm saying? And I think it's important to know that these things exist, because to whitewash it in the way, like, I hear what you're saying, but I think the problem is that if you leave it up to parents, children are not going to be taught. Look at how much stuff they're not taught now. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna have to push back a little bit real quick on this topic and just say that I disagree. You know what I'm saying? Because of the fact that, again, if you say that it's going to be the Confederate, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? But the Confederate can stand for a lot. It can stand for the South. It can stand for not just slavery, you know what I'm saying, and the treating of blacks, but it also can stand within that ideology, right? It doesn't necessarily teaches you, like, to say white pride, white this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying? Even though that kind of has been associated with it because of the KKK. Huh? Right. It is, but I think if you're going to highlight something that specifically speaks towards, you know what I'm saying, that type of rhetoric, then you either like you said, should be more inclusive on all other elements, you know what I'm saying, that within other social groups that was monumental to other communities as well, so that students within those communities can look and educate themselves, or can be educated about their histories, if that's what you're going to make American history be about, all history. But if it's not that, then it needs to just be about, how we've gotten to where we are. I don't think that the KKK necessarily has to be something that we highlight, even though it is something that is very that has having an effect on our country.
How do you teach about how Malcolm X's house was bombed, Martin Luther King's house was bombed, Medgar Evers was murdered and lynched? How do you teach about that without teaching about the KKK? Because that's who's responsible for those things.
But I don't think they're teaching kids that.
I mean, well, it is in the history books that the KKK has done terrible things in this country. A lot of, burnings and stuff like that. That's key, especially when you're talking about using examples of like Black Wall Street, that attack on Tulsa, Durham, North Carolina, Rosewood in Florida, like all these black communities, and where they were thriving. So a lot of these domestic terrorist white groups would attack these black communities, Maroon Town, stuff like that. So
I agree that they've made they've done horrible things in here. But you guys, do you think that means that Al Qaeda should be included in U.S. history?
It is.
I mean, it is U.S. history, but I mean, like you said, and it's in it. I don't know if it was in curriculum because I was in school when it was.
So, yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. So we talk about them and how they were formed and what, you know what I'm saying. You teach kids about, I guess, whatever, who they were and everything like
all that stuff.
No, I'm sure 9/11 definitely has been taught, because as we've seen, we've been in Iraq, and we just recently was pulled out. I just saw rather recently, but I'm not saying that again, that those things, or those groups rather, they're not have impacts on U.S. history, but I don't necessarily think that it has the same effect as the KKK would. You know what I'm saying? In regards to teaching it. And just lastly, real quick, my whole thing within putting that in there is that rhetoric, to me, is because, again, even if you don't teach about it, it's still prevalent. It's still there. It's still going to be there, right? But when you teach about it, one second. But when you teach about it, what it does is like what it does is it put it like you don't understand. It's like it waves it in your face. Like yeah, you're gonna say it's bad and it's history and people should know about the bad things that you've done. Absolutely, they should know about the bad things that people have done. But my thing, or excuse me, that the KKK have done. But my thing is this: when you do that, that's almost glorifying it because you see, you don't also show other acts that people have done that show other like to fight for their liberty and for their other groups. I feel like if you put other orgs in, like you said, the Black Panthers and other parties such as that, then that would have a more of an effect because now it's like you said, you're showing a plethora of groups from all different communities that have impacts on those communities. You need to go back to Marcus Garvey and Pan Africanism, and you need to teach the whole thing in the whole lecture because then at that point
You
you need
do.
to talk
And that,
about all. But no, all schools is not teaching about Garvey. All schools like every school
exactly.
aren't doing all of these things, and I feel like again that's why these things have to be taught on an individual basis within families, within communities, within rec
But
centers, whatever it is
let me
that
ask
they
you,
have
let
where
me ask
kids
you a
come
question.
together. And then lastly, my main point with that is again, it puts it in the faces. So as a kid whose parent maybe that teaches them this and they go to school and they learn this and they see this, they sitting there and they watching it and they're like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, like that's what it is. It's almost like how people argue what happened with rap and hip hop and gang banging music and this glorifies it was a gang, like you know what I'm saying? We
No,
don't need to put
hold
the
on, time out,
NWA on
time out,
because
time out.
when
Because
you
you
do
said
this, it's
rap
gonna
music.
make kids become gang bangers. And I'm
Hold on, hold
saying
on.
that's the same argument of keeping
No,
this stuff
it's
in there.
not. The argument comes from this, right? If you leave teaching about the KKK and their existence up to families, how do you leave that up to families who are part of the KKK? That's
No,
how
it's a
it gets
pride thing
glorified.
for me.
Hold on, let
Forget
me
the
finish.
families. I
Hold
just
on,
want to
let
say
me finish.
pride. Okay.
Let me finish. You see what I'm saying? It's not going to get taught. You see what I'm saying? Because first of all, the further removed you come to it, the less you hear about it, the less people are going to talk about it, the less likely it's going to get taught. So the thing is, teaching something about it, teaching history, and talking about the facts as to what happens. Things are glorified based on the way that you teach them and the way that you talk about them and the credence that you give them. But if you just say, hey, these are the facts are there was a KKK. The facts are the KKK were white men who wore hoods who went around terrorizing black people and lynching black people. Those are facts. You can't change those facts. You can't do any of that. So if people choose to fall in love with that, that goes to their own mental dysfunction. You see what I'm saying? But the thing is, the information needs to be there and it needs to be presented because in the middle America, it's not going to be taught. And that's the reason why, if you notice, mostly in middle America, that's when you hear people don't even believe that racism still exists. And how do you quantify that if you don't have anything to show for it? And so with the KKK not being taught in schools, that means when things happen in the news, you're not going to hear about it. You're not. Because think about it. When they talk about the Black Panther Party, although they're not taught in schools, there's a whole group of people in this country that think that the Black Panther Party was a terrorist group. When little do they know is that the purpose of the Black Panther Party was created to help protect Black communities because the police were coming in there and killing and hurting Black people. So, you know, you going off of this false narrative because these people are never taught that. So if you take the KKK out of the history books, that's the kind of thing that happens. It's taught to be glorified. Like remember that movie? I can't remember the
How is it taught to be glorified? I think it's more glorified if I put it in your face and I
it
keep
would
you
be
guys teaching. I keep showing it
no,
to you. It's
no,
like
not
you
at
keep
all.
etching it in. All right.
No, because think about it. It's being taught now. Most people know the KKK is bad. If you take that out, it gives more room for people to throw their own little funk on it to glorify it and to remove it. The first movie that was ever played in the White House, right? I can't remember the name of it. There was a remake to it. I'm just drawing a blank on it.
It's
Okay.
oh my God. Oh
I'm
my
drawing a
God.
blank.
Yeah, you and me
Yeah, I don't
both.
know.
Right.
Nah, we
The
know
thing
you
about
don't,
it
but
now,
this is
you can
oh
go
my
through,
God. It's a night. It's like black and white. Oh my God.
yeah, and
It's
it
one
was
of
a
the biggest
silent
movies
movie.
that started with like what we're talking about, what I'm talking about.
What
When you
we're
show
both
this
talking
stuff
about.
on, you know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? Exactly. When you show this stuff, it brings back that's what brought back the KKK. So if you
No, it
keep
didn't.
bringing it
Hold
in,
on. Hold
yes
on.
it
Hold on. The
did. All right.
KKK never, hold on. the KKK never went away. You talking about bringing
Exactly,
black people? It never
exactly.
went away.
But
But
it brought back
hold on
more
though.
involvement, more excitement, more like more
Hold on though. Let me
recruitment.
finish. If you remember in that movie, the way that that movie was written, and the way that it was the KKK was presented, the KKK was presented like they were the savior from the black man. Because remember, it was a blackface movie, and the black man who was a runaway Union slave or whatever, he went and he was raping the white women, and the KKK
Right.
came in and swooped down to save the white damsel in distress so that they could kill this black man for killing for raping their white women. And all it did was instilled more fear of the black man. It's one of the reasons why black men are so feared, because it's the image that is put out there by the media. And it
Right.
started with that. It's the first movie that, mind you, think about that. It's the
I
first
know
movie
it's
that
killing me that I
ever
can't think of that movie off the top of
did.
my head right now. I'm so sick.
Yeah, it's an old blackface movie, right?
It's Bronson
Yeah,
and
no, but it's like it's like I'm thinking like To Kill a Mockingbird, but I know it's not that. But it's
it's
like that
not,
type
and
of
I keep
era, like
wanting
a
to say
classic
12
like
years,
that. Like
right, and I keep wanting to say
um,
12 years a
it's
slave, but
like To Kill a and I'm like it's not 12 Years a Slave, but it's something like that, like something around that time. Oh my God, like
um uh
But
I
it's
ain't got my
okay.
stuff on me. I ain't got my oh,
But
you got my computer right here.
I think I get what you're
got it
saying,
right
though. E. Like,
here.
I
Birth of a
think,
Nation.
Birth of a Nation,
yeah, that's
thank
what
you.
it is, Birth of the Nation. But yeah, like if you're trying to glorify or highlight the KKK, that's not a good thing. Like, so
But
you're trying to say, like, maybe you should leave them out. Is that what you're trying to say?
essentially I'm saying it is because what it is you're going to show this group to make it seem as though like look, these are terrible things, and yes, to a sane mind they will see that as a terrible thing, but to a other mind it's going to say, listen, this was our country, this is what we did, this is how we defended it, and now we're soft, now we're not this, like look at how people was back in the day, you know what I mean, like this is what people did to defend their rights to have what we had. And if you sit here trying to have some fucking reparations or some, you know what I'm saying, any type of equality, fuck out of here. Let's go back to what I'm reading about and what I learned history did. So like, no,
So hold on,
take
let
it
me ask
out.
you something, Lee. How do you, where's the sounding board though? So if you're
What do you
just
mean?
learning about that at home, right? And your family is either not teaching you at all, because you know you honestly can't expect families to teach that kind of stuff.
I don't.
Or hold on, or the way that they're teaching you, teaching about it in ways that glorifies it. Where's the sounding board? So, because think about it, right? You have kids, school age kids, who go home. Think about the Black Lives Matter movement that took place. Black Lives Matter been going on for a minute, but the things that were happening during the pandemic, you started to see this uptick of young white children beefed out with their families because they're saying this is wrong, but the parents are saying it's right, or there's nothing wrong with those demeaning and ridiculous attitudes towards black people, right? So those children learned probably in school that those behaviors and the way you treat black people because they're black is not right. So where's the sounding board? If you
I,
don't learn
I
about it,
disagree.
but I'm saying
Because
that if they
hold on,
learn,
wait. This is how I'm
hold on,
gonna say I disagree with you. Okay.
I didn't finish. If they learned about it in school and they learned this is not the way, this is not the right way to treat people. This is what our history is. History shows that this is what we've done, and we don't need to be doing that anymore. And if you start teaching that very thing, where's the counterpoise at?
I'll
Where
show
is
you.
it?
I will show you because right now you're leaning towards the wrong side of balance.
No, I'm not.
You're leaning towards the wrong
I'm
side of
not.
balance,
There's no such thing as the
and
wrong side of balance.
it is because it's unbalanced right now.
No, there's
All right,
unbalanced.
it's unbalanced right now. It
No,
is. It
I
is.
think
It's
I tend to
unbalanced
agree
right
with
now, and it's
Sam though.
leaning on one side.
I
It's
think
leaning
you're
on
on the
one
light.
side.
I think you on the light side though, E. Me and Malik already said we agree.
Yeah, I
Huh?
tend to agree with
That,
Sam.
hey, listen, it's only three of us here, so it's already off balance anyhow. But that's fine because we need that to have that judgment. You know what I'm saying? So you can have the little bit of balance. But let me bring this. I'm gonna land this plane and bring it home, as they say, guys. So listen. All right, this is my whole thing about that. school and teaching of the KKK does not stop racism because it continues to happen and it's been in school for all of this time. So I'm gonna just end that with that. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of kids been learning about it, and a lot of people still been being racist, and a lot of stuff still been happening. So them learning about it is not stopping it. That's not what teaches kids not to be racist. I think them being in school, hanging out, going to school with other kids, talking to other kids, being around them, that is what teaches them to inherently learn that some kids are, that people are people. And that at the end of the day, there's good people in one color, and there's good people. I mean, there's bad people in another. I mean, in both colors. Excuse me. In one race, there's good and bad people. And so that's just how that goes. You have to just deal with the individual that you have. And so I think that's what kids are waking up and realizing. Some of those who don't look at it like that. But the fact that so that's just why I want to just say, like, it doesn't have to be in schools. Now, but just to your point too, of where does it get taught, right? I think it has to necessarily it doesn't necessarily have to get taught about the KKK in itself, because okay, fine, I don't necessarily have to teach you to watch for a mob of white people, but what I will teach you is maybe how to walk around in a society full of individuals, because at the end of the day, you ain't gonna necessarily always see people with a hood on, but you might see people who you interview with. You might see people who you walk past. You might see people who you are dining at in certain societies with, people who you end up working with in society, and you might not know who they are, what they represent, and what it is, and why certain times you might get certain type of reactions. But what I need to teach you is how to be able to be aware of things, what to know about your past, to know about history, to know about certain things. But more importantly, I need to teach you about how to work around it on a day-to-day basis, because honestly, they're not necessarily showing up in that. They're showing up with badges. They're showing up in other type of ways, like you said, in courthouses. They're showing up in other type. They're showing up in loan offices. They're showing up in all types of different forms and formats, because they have adopted, and they're not just in no Elk Club or wherever else, or wherever other club people may think that they might hang out at or whatever. So that's why I say no, like okay.
Well, I think I think you have a point there, E. Like, they're not just in the traditional KKK where it's evolved, so like David Duke, former KKK leader, he's running for Congress. Well, he did run, right? So they can be your legislators, they can be your judges, they can be your lawyers, they can be
Bullhorn. They can be a governor.
Governors, all kind of stuff. So business people. So I think you have a point with that. I think, but you always want to start to the beginning and then see the progression, how things evolve. So I think it's important to teach that. But I guess what you're trying to say is, like, KKK isn't like a morally wrong organization.
Yeah, I feel like you would talk about hatred and just saying people bombed Malcolm X's house. White people bomb Malcolm X's house. Okay, you want to say it's a group or organization? What difference do it make? Because what you gonna say? Are you gonna say the government killed? You know what I'm saying? Malcolm X. I mean, Dr. King. You ain't gonna say that. So like, it's like, what are we really arguing?
Well, let's not go there.
Exactly. We're not gonna go there, right? We're not gonna go there. But it was proven that.
I'm trying to answer the question. I think it's important to go there. Because if it's a fact, it's a fact. Bottom line. You see what I'm saying? And like, to say the FBI was responsible for the death of Martin Luther King? Yes. Say that. Teach it, because that's history. The problem, one of the biggest problems that our country has right now, especially with our educational system, is the fact that they try to water down what has gone on in this country. I get the fact that they don't want to teach all of everything to grade, school age children, because it can be too traumatizing for them. But you do need to teach them and teach them the truth. Like, think about it. We all went to school and had Columbus Day off, learning about Christopher Columbus sailing the ocean blue in 1492 and discovering America. But you don't discover a land where there's people already living there. Stop teaching lies. That's the point that I'm making. Like, if you're gonna teach it, teach it. I don't think you should take it out the curriculum for the simple fact that history repeats itself when people don't know their history. So as long as, people don't know that these things happen, it's more likely going to happen again, especially too, since our community, especially as it relates to race relations in this country, is so volatile. And it's not balanced at all. You see what I'm saying? Like, you can talk about people of color versus non-people of color. And even when you look at how the relationship between white people in America versus any other race other than black is completely different from that of black people and maybe brown people. You see what I'm saying? And the problem is, by not breaking it down and really teaching and explaining to the school-age children, this is what has happened. This is what our country is founded on. Everything is not going to be pretty, okay? Everything is not going to be, beautiful and stars and butterflies and sunshine. But this is the reality of it. And in order to grow and become a better nation, we have to do it in spite of the things that we've done in our past, in spite of the ways that we've treated people in our past. And that's not ever going to happen if you're not honest about the things that have happened. You see what I'm saying? And I see where you're coming from, E, and I get why you say what you say, but I just don't agree, because I feel like you can't move forward without knowing what happened in the past, not effectively.
I mean, I do agree with that, but I just think that, like, honestly, I think it's a little more of an issue because I think, like, it's not the same format as it used to be. The things aren't coming how it came back then. So I think that you have to teach, which you're not going to get this taught. Like I said, your oppressor is never going to allow you to be free. So we're asking for something that I think is just not going to happen, which is why I truly, truly think that you can almost argue that this is a win, because now they have to take out something that you were very proud of, that you felt the need to keep in there, even if, because like I said, we're seeing this and knowing that this is tragic to do this to people, but to a mind, this is survival. This is whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is what we do. This is how we play the game.
You take it out for the few and leave it out, not to benefit the many. Like, think about
it. But that's the whole thing, because the whole thing about it is it was never meant to benefit no one, but to be in there to let you guys know. It's like putting your jersey up in the Raptors. It's like being in the Hall of Fame. It's
but
like saying, listen,
I don't think it's like that though. I think
it should not be viewed that.
It's part of the history. If somebody is gonna view it as like them propping them up and glorifying them, that's one thing. But if you just teach the historical facts and what happened,
that's what I'm saying, guys. We're not teaching all of the facts. We're picking facts that we want to choose to tell. Like she said with the Christopher Columbus, we're picking facts that we choose to want to tell. And for that purpose, I'm like, yo, take that out then.
Well, I think the Christopher Columbus thing, I actually, you know what? I think the Christopher Columbus thing, since we're on it, I think you could take that out. That don't need to be taught. That shouldn't even be a holiday.
It's not even a fact. There's no historical facts in there other than he set sail in 1492.
Pride. We want him to be the sign of the new America.
So with the Christopher Columbus thing, I can get with you, but the KKK thing, I can't.
All right. Well, then y'all don't gotta believe me or feel. I agree. I'm glad y'all don't see. That's why I do what I do, baby. And when the people see this and they get a chance to be like, oh, there we go, some controversy or something, some drama.
Yeah. I think we can all agree to disagree on that one. But, do y'all want to move on to the next topic?
Yeah, because I'm not.
What do y'all want to talk about? The space one, or y'all want to talk about the minimum wage?
I think we can talk about the space thing and then go into the other stuff.
Okay.
With the space trips. So first, we heard about Bronson. He was like the founder of Virgin, everything.
Mobile,
Virgin
Records,
Virgin, all that. Got mad money, and all he does.
Mobile.
I said that he does all he. He got a whole lot of money, and he's been out here for decades, just living la vida loca, like skydiving and doing all kind of extremist type stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's his thing. He had a spaceship or of some sort. Not really a spaceship, some sort of ship, and he went to the edge of the earth. He didn't quite hit space, but he got real close. They landed. Everything was great. They were happy about it. And then a week later, Jeff Bezos and 3 other people decided that they were going to go out of space. Or did I say that backwards? Maybe Bronson went out of space and then Bezos went to the
No,
edge.
you got it. No, Bronson went to the edge.
Bezos was in
Bezos
space
left.
for 11 minutes. He took 3 other people with him. I know it was a black kid, and then he took another kid whose dad paid. Yeah, it was a black kid.
Oh, I didn't see it on there. I'm sorry. My bad.
Yeah. And then there was another kid who his father paid Jeff Bezos $28 million for him to go on there. So they're trying to make this commercial. They're trying to make a business
How
out
many
of
people was
it.
on the flight?
What'd you say?
I thought it was 3. I thought
it was him, his brother, that old lady, the oldest astronaut lady, and then he had the youngest astronaut lady, or the youngest astronaut.
3 old white people and a 1 young white person.
Yeah, it was the youngest.
Yeah, there was a black kid on one of the flights.
They had multiple. I didn't know that one.
I mean, it was a couple of them going to space. A couple of them are billionaires going to space. They took a picture of them too, like a bunch of them. So
why have we not seen the picture of the black dude? We just see all
no. There's a video. No, there's a video of it.
Or these other spaceships that went up.
Nah, you're funny.
I only heard it 2 that went up. Sir Richard Process. I just heard 2 billionaires that went to space. I don't know no other people that went, but hey, listen.
Well, did you hear about some kid whose dad paid Jeff Bezos $28 million to go up?
No, Jeff Bezos don't need no more damn money. See, look, that's how we talk about this today, okay? So Jeff Bezos
Jeff was like, that 28 was the gas money to get up here. You better stop playing with me. You know what I'm saying? I make 28.
I mean, that sounds like the 28 million sponsor.
Listen, I made 28 million listening.
He froze because he was talking to Yang.
Tell me about the 28 million. You know what I'm saying?
Well, he made 28 million in 11 minutes.
Somebody tell me. Exactly like you said. That's
crazy.
I heard somebody tell me I made 28 million. Because y'all playing with me and don't know how I get down.
Comes back from space. And he gets in an interview and he thanks his employees and the customers for Amazon. Pardon me while I roll my eyes.
Wow.
And the reason why I'm rolling my eyes is because Amazon workers do not necessarily work in the greatest conditions. If anybody remembers during the pandemic, they were having a rough time over there in those warehouses. Okay?
Yeah, they were stressed.
They might make decent money, but they do not have good conditions in those warehouses. And then he's thanking all the people that made him rich, right? But he don't pay taxes.
Hey, the rich don't pay taxes, Sam. It's just something that we have to accept.
We are on the tail end of the pandemic. People still are out of work, and this dude talk about, oh yeah, I'm gonna go off to space. I like to thank all the people that I'm not treating right and taking all the money from.
Hey, I'm not a big fan of Amazon, but hey, I mean, I gotta respect the business.
I can't speak too much on it because I know I do support. I can't speak too much on it.
I will buy some from Amazon.
I mean, he has a good business. But I don't like how they treat people and how they do business all the time. But it's still a good business. It's still a good company.
How you rich in the world and you don't pay no taxes? Like, you come on now, going off your face talk about I like to thank all the people that made me rich. Like, man, you better go ahead with that.
But again, as I say, it's like a flex. It's always a flex.
But what do y'all think about the commercial aspect? Do y'all think like that's something that maybe y'all would be interested in, or just like, what do y'all think about them commercializing, space flights?
Of course, it's another flex. Everybody gonna want to be the first one to take the selfie from like space. Like, come on, we know this. Like,
you and the picture of the Earth behind you.
You feel what I'm saying? I knew I in this world, so I had to leave space. You know what I'm
Like
saying? I
I
needed
wonder what the
space, so
cost is
I
gonna
left
be
the
once it
world.
hits like
You feel
the
me?
general
Taxes is
public,
gonna be
like
crazy.
the average citizen. I wonder what the cost is gonna be once it reaches the average citizen.
They're gonna leave
Hope,
us average people down here to die in all
listen,
the smog.
listen.
As we
Maybe our grandkids or something can tell us. Cause listen, uh,
like
I
to
think that was around the first time that our grandparents' era might have been the first time when the government was doing it. The first time that
Now it's
they
just
made it so
regular
that
people doing it, right?
individual can do it this time frame now. You know what I'm saying?
I
However
don't
many years later. So maybe another. All right, let's say it's split up a little bit because people are getting to some money, and it's a little something that we want to talk about this week coming up. Check our show on this Saturday. We got something for y'all. You know about how people getting a
Sunday.
lot of money and how sometimes they like to choose to pass that on down. But
Sunday. I gotta correct you, Sunday.
that's that Saturday. I'm sorry.
You did.
Sorry. It's a
You did.
reflex, but thank you. It is on
Yes,
Sunday at
Sunday.
10:30, 11:30.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But
So we'll be live.
with that being said, right, the commercial aspect, I think there's a reason why NASA go take to and fro all the time on a regular basis. I think that it has potential to affect the planet. Um, and I think it's important to find out what those effects are without affecting the planet. The reason why our planet is so jacked up now is because people always want to, oh, I have this bright idea. Let me go do this and tear up everything before they find out whether or not what they're going to do is tearing up everything. I think it's important to be careful with that because this planet is the only thing that we have. And so I think we have to definitely pay attention to that. And then as far as to answer
Only
your
plan we
question,
have for now, according to these guys. They're trying to.
As you
They might
see,
leave us to go to
you know
Mars
what I'm
somewhere.
saying?
but that was what I was going to say to your other point as far as the regular person, how much you think it's going to cost. First of all, it's going to be forever before we even are able to do that as regular people. Only the top 1% are going to be able to go. You
That's
know,
the whole thing. And I was just about to ask that too. Like, do we think that this is even for the masses? Like, things are never really made for the masses. It might be made to come up off the masses. You feel what
But
I'm
who
saying?
knows? Like as technology advances and as people maybe get a little bit more money, hopefully. But I think maybe they wanted to eventually reach the level of like commercial airplane flights. Like
I think they
you
need to see
book your
what type of
space
effects
flight.
I think they need to see what type of effects it has on the planet before they
Of
go
course,
do
it'll
it.
probably be thousands and thousands of dollars, but something that's like some people can pay. People got some people.
Exactly. They're
More
gonna
people
buy
got
them. They're
money
gonna
than you
buy them
think
waist trainers.
sometimes.
They're
But
gonna
they
buy
need to
them.
think about
No,
the long-term effects,
not
though.
no some people. Not no some people. We know which people.
Right,
We know which people now. We ain't
right.
gotta
They
play
need to
Yeah,
that
think
that's what
game
I'm saying.
because we know
So,
which people ain't gonna be doing it.
But they
right.
need
So
to think about what the long term effects are. Like to be, and all jokes aside, I know we've been joking and playing and everything, but I do think they need to look at what the long term effects are. Look at the car, right? Car was a great innovation, um, but look at what it did to our planet. All the pollution, and now they're like trying to fix it by having the electric car and recycling and doing all of these things, not just with the car, but also too the way we just jack up our planet with trash and all that stuff, smoke, like we just whatever. We're just so reckless. And I think it's
absolutely.
important to have something at this stage and actually take a second to say, hey, let's figure out what the long-term effects are. Because we are so quick to just do stuff without looking at the long-term effects. We do it with everything, like even the COVID vaccine. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's always like this urgent need to, oh, we got to do this, we got to do that. And then nobody ever, sorry guys, I'm trying to fix my seat, thinks about the long-term effects. And then next thing you know, our babies and grandbabies or whatever have to deal with the repercussions of our hastiness. And I think that it's important to just really try to make sure we pay attention to that. You know, one of the other things that we wanted to talk about was inflation, and I think it's a good segue because when you're talking about this space, these space trips and the commercial aspect of it, you know, what does that do to our economy? Like, yeah, it may create jobs, but what does it do to the people who are making very much money? And then what happens if it's jacking up the planet and everybody goes off to Mars and then leaves all the poor people down here? You know?
Well, we live in capitalism, and I think there's always going to be poor people, based off of capitalism. And then when it comes to them traveling to another planet, I think that could be a possible benefit because, like you said, we're jacking up Earth. Who knows what will happen to Earth? I think people are thinking ahead and saying, "Hey, we need a plan B." I've seen stuff about like them even thinking about creating like a ring in outer space, like all kinds of stuff for us to not live on Earth. What?
Are we gonna go there and tear that up too? Because human beings are destructive.
Yeah,
Eventually, over
yeah.
time, for sure.
But I mean,
For sure.
I just
Over
think
time.
we're just looking at different ways to live off of Earth, to explore so we can
But
reach
I'm
other
gonna keep it a
places.
book. Honestly, I think the biggest thing is that the reason why it won't come to the masses until there's a need for it. There's a need for, like, we all argue, but like there's a need for sadly migrant workers and things of that nature. That's what keeps the food prices down and stuff like that. It's sad, but like that's just how some things get done. And I feel like that's why we see stuff be so crazy and people kind of just get a chance to slide in, even if they do and just kind of take little jobs that they do or get what they get, because it keeps certain stuff moving, unfortunately. And I feel like, that's why we have things that go in society today that go, but to go up in another planet, I feel like that's not nothing that they're gonna look to really try to bring to the masses until there's a need for them. We need more people up here to maybe maintain the lifestyle that we need or something that we're doing. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's why now it's going to be a luxury for individuals who have the type of funds to be able to afford to do this right now, because there's not a use for multiple people being there yet. Once they get an infrastructure set up and they need people working and doing things, okay.
Yeah, I think they want to eventually make it mainstream, like you're saying. Now it's for the elite, for the governments and stuff like that. But eventually, once it gets mainstream, it can take off.
But not even just mainstream. By saying we're gonna have people coming, I think it's I think the only time we want to make it mainstream where we can, because again, the argument is not necessarily just to go towards space. The trip ride. The trip ride is just again like the first leg of the speed trains that they do normally. They might do trains that go through different cities and stuff like that. So it might be like the first leg of that.
Like
high speed rails. Thank you, Malik. They might start with this a little bit. We're gonna go from this part to this part, and then we're gonna go to that part to that part. And I think that's what it's gonna be. Like we're working towards getting to Mars right now. We're gonna take the money right now from the rich people to have them go up and down for a little bit. We build it up, we get over there, we can figure out how we can make things move. And then after that,
wait. Take the money from the rich people. Who's taking money from
me? Not like clearly not by taxing. You know what I'm saying? It won't be by taxing. It's going to be given. Like the rich people, like you said, not take. They will give us their money. So you know what I'm saying? To come up for a little small trip. We're gonna use that to get the bigger infrastructure to get us all the way to Mars.
Or if they really need workers,
why would I spend my billions of dollars?
But I just thought about some. They can hire people.
They'll give me billions more to do what I did in 2020 in July.
Shout out to Eden Daddy 83. He said hi.
Shout out to bro.
Well, I can't even see the comments, man. What is this?
Hold on, let me see what that. It's kind of like that Matt Dillon movie when he was wearing that Exodus suit, rich going up to the moon, and the poor stay here on Earth.
Right, and that's what I was asking. And then, and that was the point that I was making.
Good look, bro.
Yeah, shout out to you. I can't see you though, but shout out to you.
And then the other question that I have for you guys is, what do you
all think
to our economy?
Going into Mars?
People are taking this trip. It ain't gonna do squat for the economy. Because first of all, they're not even paying taxes. right? So who's paying for this?
Wait. Okay, they gonna pay a tax, but it won't be an income tax or nothing like that. They gonna pay the tax. They gonna have to pay that sales tax. So you can best believe governments is gonna get some parts of it.
Like what, 8%?
Like that little whatever percentage.
Yeah, they
They
might get the
gonna get whatever.
corporation tax, the
But you
15%.
know the state still like, listen, we can't let you just come on. You can't just come on, my dog.
They better
Everybody
go harder
gotta pay
than
the
that.
sales tax around
I
here.
mean,
Like
they're
you
gonna get
can't
their
just
little
do it
cut.
like
The
that.
government's gonna
They
get their
gonna get, but
15%.
exactly a little cut. It ain't gonna be nothing crazy. Because like you said, it ain't gonna be what they should be getting.
It's not gonna be like the 38% that they be taking from workers.
Right, the people who need it the most. You know, so that was what I was asking, because I'm thinking about it in terms of inflation, right?
Oh yeah,
And
that's
how the cost of everything is going up. You got rich people flying out to space because people that ain't rich are making them more rich, and the cost of everything is going up. The cost of food is going up, the cost of gas, and people can blame it on Joe Biden and all that, but the truth of the matter is it's going up just about everywhere because people just want more.
I mean,
You
it
know,
goes up every year, but like the past 2 years, thanks to the pandemic, it's like doubled even. So it's going up crazy.
Think about that for a second. Doubled in a time when people don't have no money. Come on
Or
now.
know where to really they should be going. Like where you going?
Right.
Well,
Like
I mean,
people are not.
Oh
People
well,
are
yeah. I forgot everything is opening back up again. I kind of pretty much. I don't know.
wait, what'd you say? I didn't hear you.
I was saying like a lot of people still maybe are working from home. A lot of people work remotely still. It's like so it's not. I don't think that it's like it was before when we had as much movement like we did prior to the pandemic. So like
Right.
I'm saying, like we don't have as much movement as we used to have. You know what I'm saying? Even still, even when we do have a lot of people out, it's still not like it was.
Yeah, you're right.
They disappeared.
Oh, hold on one second. Okay. We got we said the middle class is gonna pay, and then it says, well, I can say this though. I think the Democrats are going to make the rich pay for or us pay fire year or for yearly taxes, and I bet they'll get an old tax to the next 3 years.
I can see that.
Yeah.
No, I can see Biden trying to do some of that, but I definitely think, like you said, this taxes thing is something big that we're looking at, and it kind of leads into segue into again, some of the stuff that we're gonna be touching on soon. So
Right, and the minimum wage too, right? Because like I said at the top of the show, like anybody working a full time or minimum wage can't afford to live anywhere in the United States. That's disgusting. You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you continue to allow inflation to increase so high that somebody working a job 40 hours a week can't afford, minimum wage cannot afford to live? They can't pay a rent. They have to have multiple jobs. They have to have multiple streams of income. And that's not the American way. You know what I'm saying? It's not to say that people shouldn't hustle. I believe that people should, and they got to do what they got to do.
what's up, Colette?
Hey, Colette.
What's up, Colette? Can't see you, but what's up?
Yeah, me either. But that ain't it. You know what I'm saying? It's not giving what it's supposed to give. Increase the minimum wage so people can live.
You know what? I'm actually on the opposite end of this. Like, I don't really want them to necessarily increase the minimum wage too much. I want it to be a living wage, but like, I was reading the article I sent you guys about Delaware increasing their minimum wage, and then they had like this restaurant association. They were arguing like, look, we really hit hard with the pandemic. Can you give us even more time to get adjusted to this new wage? We have to pay our workers. So from an entrepreneur standpoint and business owner standpoint, it's going to be hard to pay your workers an elevated wage with the payroll and all of that situation. So,
Well, hold on for a second, Malik. The restaurant industry all over the country, they don't make minimum wage. Restaurant servers at restaurants make like $2.35 an hour because the majority of their money comes from tips. So
right.
them struggling has more so to do with the fact that people aren't going to sit in restaurants to pay their workers, and they're trying to find ways to keep their workers paid. So that's totally different than
Correct.
somebody who works at a gas station maybe, or
But
maybe they worked at McDonald's or something, and they
but
had.
even with those jobs, Sam, like let's take McDonald's for example. McDonald's is making an adjustment to experiment with a robot actually talking to you and taking your order instead of a person.
We talked about
Yeah,
that
we
already.
talked about that too. And then Walmart also, what they're doing, they're getting rid of a lot of cashiers and stuff like that. So
Because
it's
people
like
want to
it's
steal at
getting
the
more
self.
less and less workers.
Some people
Um,
want to steal at the self checkout. I know. I'm a criminal defense attorney.
right. So that's another thing. Like, they'll hire less employees, so less jobs. But right now there's a lot of jobs because I mean a lot of people aren't really trying to work right now. I don't know what that's about, but
Let
No,
me
I
tell you.
think that, but I
Wait,
think a
wait,
lot of
wait.
that goes to the
I
whole
gotta
thing
fix
of
something that I just said. I just have to
okay.
fix something that I said. When I said I'm a criminal defense attorney, it wasn't to imply that my clients be stealing. It was to imply that my clients are officers
disclaimer,
Right.
to
Okay.
disclaimer.
Yeah, no.
make
But
that.
I think to your point, man, about man, I almost had it, but to your point about the inflation going up and the livable wages, like I certainly think that ideally, it should be the fact that if a person works a 40-hour a week, job, that they should at least be able to afford to keep a roof over their head. Unfortunately, that is not the case, and it probably hasn't been the case for a while. And I think that's another one of the reasons why Dr. King ain't here either. But like, not solely, that's not the reason why he's not here. But speaking on those type of things, about wealth and inequality is some of the things that causes that, right? But the fact that the inflation has gone up and the fact that workers are, what I'm saying, and businesses aren't able to like pay those wages definitely has an effect on society and how, again, the masses are living. And I think we looked at, I was watching an article not too long ago, but it talked about why you see people having like those extreme couponing, and they have like things where they'll have like out in like the streets or in neighborhoods, they have them like what I'm saying, you just pull up, somebody might have all of their like laundry detergent. You can go get some laundry detergent for a couple dollars less than maybe if you went to the store or wherever the case may be. And so like that became a opportunity because it's like people had to find a way to kind of innovate. Okay, I can save a couple dollars here and make a few more dollars there. If I just kind of make things happen. And it's like that, but like you said, that shouldn't be the case. Like you shouldn't have to go out here and do all of this. Kudos to the people who do, because the fact that it is what it is right now, and you are able to find a way. You know what I'm saying? Big ups to you, because it's not easy for people nowadays. It's not necessarily always been easy, but I think once you're able to find a way to do it and get yourself around the type of individual to find the information that you need to be able to make a way, I think it comes. And the one thing that's crazy about this though, and I know this is gonna really sound crazy to some, but like, even though inflation is what it is, and even though everything is what it is, the only hope that I could tell people really at the end of the day is a lot of people are lazy. And a lot of people just don't want to do the things that it takes to be successful, to be like in a position to say like, okay, like you said, even if minimum wage isn't going to work, I gotta find what's going to work. Because what's not going to work is me not being able to keep the lights on. What's not going to work is me not being able to keep my roof over my head. And so I think, for the individuals who are able to do that, you know what I'm saying? That's why I say that kudos to, and I think everyone can be able to do that if they have that level of a hunger and a hunger level of dedication. I just want one last thing real quick, Sam, before we go. We have one other comment, which is by Eating Daddy 83, which says, because of the unemployment benefits, for example, Indiana, they did not want to work for all. Just keep it real, bro. Research it. And I feel that, and some people have been arguing that because of the fact that the unemployment has been giving people like extensions, do things of that nature, as well as one last thing, the government has also gave extra benefits that was going on too. I don't know if anyone remember, like there was given an incentive like an extra $200-300 on top of whatever the state's benefits were
Yep,
at the
federal and
time.
state
So
were given
you were
increased
able to
benefits.
get,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, more money to kind of just sit back, whereas and then you had a different quality of life. And I think that's another thing that a lot of people aren't also factoring in is that now people have gotten a chance to see, you know what, I don't gotta go out here and you know what I mean, do this. I could do what I'm doing and make a way and make a living and enjoy myself the way I want to enjoy myself, live how I want to live on my terms. Like, okay, let me try to do that. Or I'm gonna just find something that maybe be a little bit less stressful. Maybe. I don't know.
So with the unemployment benefits, specifically during the pandemic, there was more money added on from the federal government, but everybody knew that that was going to be temporary. Normally, unemployment don't pay that much money. You know what I'm saying? And then it doesn't last that long because there's less and less money. Where's that feedback coming?
I don't know. It's like an echo.
Is that on me? Hold on.
There's less and less money that's becoming available, kind of like
No,
Social
I don't know what that is.
It went away. I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, but
Okay.
that's what the unemployment. So during the pandemic, when so many people were out of work, because the government was throwing more money at unemployment so people could be able to live. What that ended up doing was people were actually making more money getting unemployment than they were at their jobs. So it was like, all right, I'll just stay not working, because it just made sense. So, I mean, I don't know if they should have did it that way, but that's how it happened. Now, the other thing is when he said a lot of people are lazy, I halfway agree with that. I do agree that there's a lot of people that are lazy, but I also agree that there are a lot of people that are complacent rather than lazy. And I think that they don't see, they have a hard time seeing themselves doing something else outside of what it is that they already do. And it has more so to do with the mindset of being in a box than it does with just having a lascivious mindset. And I think that, one of the things that the pandemic did do was a lot more entrepreneurs and people like, stepping out on faith and investing in business. You hearing it again, E?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear it too. I don't know what's going on.
All right.
I don't know. I don't know. That's weird. But anyway, I do think that we do have to that are right there that are just complacent. They're not really lazy. They're just complacent. And I think that if anything, if the pandemic taught anybody anything, it should have taught them that you gotta be able to hustle. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you can't just keep sitting back and thinking everything is gonna get handed to you. You gotta know how to hustle because no matter what's handed to you, it's gonna run out, and it's gonna run out at the worst time. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at how all them people, when the money, if unemployment ran out, they ran out there and was getting them PPP loans. Now the feds is looking for them.
Right. And
Well, see,
I
that's the
also
thing. I
think
think.
people are in for a rude awakening with this thing because once the minimum wage passes, things are going to start going up. They're going to be like, why is everything so super expensive? It's like, y'all wanted this minimum wage to go up. So everything's just going to go up in terms of cost of everything. Like, you're like, why is my rent so high? It's already high. It's going to be crazy.
Right. So then the thing is, do you keep raising minimum wage or do you start regulating the prices?
I think you raise it as much as the inflation rate goes, but the thing is, like, I mean, I don't know. I think
Inflation hasn't raised that much, though.
I think you need to be transparent with it. Like, look, your wages could go up, but the prices of everything is going to go up. And I think people need to be educated on that. And I think they're underestimating that that's going to happen, or you know what's even worse? That some of these like customer service jobs, these jobs that we're used to, like cashier jobs, they're going to be replaced. So you're going to have to get some skills or a professional degree or get a trade in order to survive. So a lot of these jobs will disappear.
I don't think they're all going to disappear, but I do
Not
think
all, but a lot more.
what I'm saying is I don't think they're going to disappear at all. I think they are going to diminish, but I don't think they're going to disappear. I think that it's like instead of hiring 20 customer service agents, you might hire 10 or 7 or
Maybe
something
even
like
worse,
that.
3.
I mean,
Or we got another comment. Colette said Wendy's just got rid of their dollar menu because of the increased minimum wage.
so, and that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I said the question then
It's
becomes,
already happening.
do you regulate it? Like, think about it with gas. Gas is regulated. The price of gas is regulated. Even though it fluctuates, you can't go down the street and see these vastly different prices in gas. Like, it might be different. Like, I can go to BP. I have a BP next door to me and a Quick Trip right down the street. The prices are maybe within 10 cents of each other. But BP could easily charge $4 a gallon, and Quick Trip could easily charge $2.99. You know what I'm saying? And so I think the continuing to raise the minimum, I get the whole, thing about capitalism and everything, but the way that and how it affects our country with pricing and things of that nature. But if you're going to keep raising the minimum wage, like Malik said, the price of everything is going to go up. And I think that there should be some sort of regulation to an extent, because we're going to continue to have the problem. Think about it. Once upon a time, minimum wage was like, I don't know, $5 an hour. You know what I'm saying? Now they're talking about increasing it to $15 an hour. You see what I'm saying? And then that's the federal minimum wage. We're not even talking about the states, because the states have the authority to be able to do whatever they want to do, right?
Yeah,
And
that's going to be crazy.
Right, they're going to do it based on the market in their place. So, I mean, in their cities and states or whatever. So, like, whereas we live in Atlanta, Malik and I live in Atlanta, right? We could go to the grocery store, buy the same food, and it costs $150. I could go to Miami, where he lives, buy the exact same stuff, and that thing costs more money. Or I could go to California. Gas is a great example. I'm here in Georgia. It's $2.99 a gallon at a Quick Trip. I can go to California, that thing is $4.25, $5, something like that, something crazy.
Yeah. Look at Cali. Yeah, California is a prime example. A lot of people trying to get out of there because it's so expensive. Like, it's just overpriced. So that's what's going to happen throughout the country. Like, it's just going to be little Californians all over the place in these different cities and different areas. So a lot of cities are just going to get super expensive to live, and a lot of these suburbs as well. So I just think I know you're trying to push for the $15 an hour, but I think they should be pushing towards something else, like maybe like, hey, get rid of our student loan debt. Can you maybe like, do something better with our education, other stuff that will lead to increased incomes.
Everybody doesn't go to school. Most people don't even graduate most people graduate high school, but most people don't have an education beyond.
No. I'm talking about some alternative education programs to promote more trade schools as well, not just college, but trade, like other stuff, programs, computer programs, other stuff. It doesn't have to be the traditional university or college, but it could be other stuff, like just training, like apprenticeships, like help people increase their skills instead of,
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's still, like, could you imagine going to college or trade school or whatever, getting out and still making minimum wage? Like, you know what I'm saying? You got all that education and you're not making no money with it. That's
But a lot of
frustrating.
those people can at least start their own business as well and have.
But that's not for everybody.
Yeah, it's not for everybody. And I mean, minimum wage is for some people. Some people, that's what you get.
It is. But the thing is, have a higher standard of education, and then you get out and you're only making minimum wage, ain't it? You know what I'm saying?
But somebody has to make
like
the minimum. Because that's the way the system is.
The country thrives on debt. So, school debt ain't going nowhere, just like
Yeah.
debt for homes, or keeping people paid. Like I said, not even minimum wage. Like we talking about minimum wage, but like I said, like a big factor is you also have other things happen where people might, unfortunately, just not do it, or you know what I'm saying, just find people that's willing to not, you know what I'm saying, work like that, because it's just like, like if a person can't pay those wages and continue to be able to survive, they only got one or two choices. And everyone's not going to choose to just pack it up and go. Like I
But
said,
where you
just like
gonna go
they
if
didn't
it's
choose
like
that
that
when
anyway?
they felt like they were having a issue with the quality of life changing for some individuals, or giving other individuals a quality of life. You
But
seen
where
what
they
happened. That came with blood.
right,
So like,
the other problem is where they're gonna go if it's happening everywhere. Remember, like I
what do you
said,
mean?
for
Well,
you
who's gonna go?
working minimum wage in every state in this country for 40 hours a week cannot get you you can't afford to live anywhere in the state, in the country. Not just one state, not just one coast, not just one region, and the entire country. So, that's what I mean by that. Like you could pack up and go, but where you going? To another
Yeah,
country?
yeah, because every
No,
state
no,
is
no, no, no,
different
no.
with
I'm not
the.
talking about the people are gonna pack up and go. I'm talking about businesses. The business owners who no longer will be able to pay to stay in business no
Yeah,
longer.
yeah, it will be a lot
Every
of job
business owner,
losses and
is
job
that what I'm
cuts,
saying? Like, you feel me?
and
White
people will
people still
turn
gonna
look toward the
exist.
government.
Like, everybody's not going to play the game fair. Like they said, like business is one of the most ruthless things out. You know what I mean? That's why they went to war about, you know what I'm saying, slavery. Like, you trying to, pay people wages, that causes still for war.
But that's the reason why I say if you have
You feel
more
what I'm saying?
regulation
So
in
it
your
could go
place,
great. It could go left when it go to that, and people will go. And you talking about a organization being in this group? Like I said, we don't even got no books for the organization that's all organized for us to stay in the ways that we in and how we living. So that organ is not even existent. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like you say, you just gotta say a race, because it's just like the
Right,
game
right.
is just so far gone. You can't even, you know what I mean? It's just
but
there.
that's yeah, that's the
So
reason why I suggested some sort of regulation. It doesn't have to be regulating everything, but to regulate business is not the same as regulating people, right? Because a business is a thing, a person is a person. And it may help get this problem under control. Like the debt is crazy. You're not taxing rich people. Then you have inflation, which is bananas. But then you have businesses that can't afford to pay their people, but people that can't afford to live. It's like we got to figure something out. There got to be some way to fix all of
Yeah,
that.
yeah, but I mean, this socialist utopia that people are hoping for is not going to happen. And $15 an hour, it's nice, but it's not going to do it. And people are in for a rude awakening. Like $15 an hour is not enough, and they're going to increase the prices just cause too. Like, you guys wanted $15 an hour? Watch this. Then you're gonna be struggling finding the jobs you used to find. They're not trying to hire. It's going to be very difficult. You have to go back to school, get into more debt. You're going to have to get a trade. You might have to start your own business. So it's going to be a rude awakening. It's going to
we
be
got a
devastating
guest
for people.
coming up.
Hey, what's up? What's going on?
Hey,
He wants to pop in
hey,
real
how
quick.
y'all doing today, man? How y'all doing? Good evening. Good evening.
Hey, good
What's
evening. How you
going
doing?
on? My bridge,
Good,
my
good.
bro.
I had to get involved in it since y'all was talking about the inflation and stuff, man. It just amazed me, Cause like I said, I'm American worker as well, a manufacturer worker,
Okay.
and I'm from Indiana, so I kind of know what's going on a little bit. Like for example, the unemployment situation. I mean, there's a lot of jobs. There's a lot of opportunity jobs, and nobody don't want to take them.
Yep.
It's just funny that way because, like I said, unemployment's like $400 a week,
Yep.
or something like that, somewhere around there. And our governor's trying to shut that down, but they ain't gonna, since the government like, nah, you can't shut that down. And I said, how you want people to work and stuff like that when we got unemployment? You see what I mean?
Right.
And it's just like the foundation of America, how people used to work. it's cut off now because of this pandemic. You know what I mean? I mean, of course, you're gonna have business owners, you know, say entrepreneurs and stuff like that, but you're gonna pay that back at the end. We always got to pay that back in the end, especially on taxes.
Absolutely,
Right,
absolutely,
right,
man.
right. And
I mean, Democrat gonna. I'm gonna put it this way: Democrat and Republic are still the same. We still gonna pay that back. Middle class, poor class, rich people, rarely. Depend
No,
on depend on the side. You know, the side. You know what I'm saying? The Republican or the Democrats. You know what I mean?
most
Because
definitely.
right
No, I
now,
agree with that. Definitely agree
we
with that.
middle class is paying for it because Democrat. I mean, I get it. You know what I mean? We needed something like this, but at the same time, we paying for it because people ain't working.
right.
People ain't
And people,
working.
yeah, and the ones
It,
who are working really well, not paying. So
right.
you feel what I'm saying? It leaves the ones who are working, who can afford some things, to be paying a hefty price. You
Yeah,
feel
that's
me?
just
Right.
Almost about to
politics,
push you
guys.
back
Just
down to being
politics.
in the low bracket. But we definitely want to thank you, man, for jumping in. You know what I'm saying? And adding in on the
Yeah,
comments
appreciate you.
and speaking up. You know, we was about to wrap this thing on up real quick, though.
That's cool.
Man,
That's cool.
we
Yeah, I was just
definitely
want to
appreciate
address
you
that a little
coming in.
bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure,
No,
man.
no,
You know.
I understand.
For sure,
Appreciate your
man. So
feedback,
yeah,
input.
no. And you more than welcome to come back next week. We coming in.
Please
We
do.
always, you know what I'm saying. Every Wednesday we here, going
Hmm.
at 8:30. But I definitely want to let everybody know y'all can come check us out. We appreciate y'all, everybody on the What's Up Wednesday. We have shows going on the weekends as well. So you guys can check us out on Sundays now at 11:30. We go live. You can catch us at Counterpoise Podcast, which is the IG page. You can also catch me at that guy 2104 on Instagram as well. And then the rest of my co-hosts as well as our guests, they can give your Instagram and let everybody else know if you want, or if not, you don't have to. But we appreciate you for being a part of
No,
it.
I thank you for letting me in and what's my opinion before y'all cut off, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Oh,
no
no
doubt, no doubt,
problem.
man. You want to say anything, let anybody know anything, promote anything, or you know, give any shout outs or nothing?
Just it's funny, especially you, Ever. You know, so I ain't seen you in a minute, but
Oh man, it's been forever,
uh,
bro.
my daughter, of course, you know what I mean. She with Paw right now, and shout out to
Oh,
everybody that's
that's
trying
what's
to work
up.
hard and stuff like that. You know what I mean. But
Yeah.
big shout out to y'all. Y'all doing an amazing job, man. Keep up the good work. Like I said, I check y'all out every now and then on Wednesday. I was like, hey, yeah, I gotta go to bed, but now I'm up a little bit. Y'all got me a little bit rolling, so I was just like, oh, let me go ahead and get in here.
My
But
man.
definitely shout out to y'all. Y'all young. I'll call y'all young since I'm old now. But I really want to thank y'all for keep it up, man. Keep these young generation kind of understand what's going on here, man. Because like I said, there's a lot going on.
A lot, yes, sir.
We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen in the next 20 years or so.
We
Man,
don't.
right. But we
Don't forget black
every
cracks. You
week we
never
gonna be
really know
here,
how old we are.
looking to tell y'all what we seen for sure.
Yeah. First
All
of all,
right, but
one thing I said was black don't crack, so you never really know how old we are.
right. Hey, no offense. I'm just saying though.
I got
For
you.
sure.
First of all, yes, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Please, like Everett said, just to echo what he said, please feel free to jump on in anytime you come. You catch us. If you want to chime in, you can go ahead and put something in the comments or request to join. We'll be more than happy to chit chat with you. We enjoy when our guests hop in and talk to us.
Appreciate it.
So thank you for that.
Not a problem. But like I said, I'm gonna let y'all go. Y'all keep it up. Y'all touch my heart real quick, but really, seriously though, y'all keep it up though. All right, I'm proud of y'all.
Appreciate it.
So
Thank you, man. Thank you
No
for the
problem.
love and
yeah, so
support.
I'm gonna
For real.
give y'all my socials. You can catch me on Facebook at Samantha Adams ESQ, and right here on Instagram at Samantha Renee 77_ESQ. And like Everett said, you can catch us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube at Counterpoise Podcast. Check us out on Sunday at 11:30, every Wednesday at 8:30 for What's Up Wednesday. And just go ahead and let Malik take it home.
Oh yeah, guys, y'all can follow me at Malik M. Foster on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all platforms. It's Malik M. Foster. So you can follow me there. And like Sam ever said, follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook at Counterpoise Podcast. And check us out. We have a show coming up this Sunday, 11:30. Make sure you tune in. It's going to be on Facebook Live and YouTube at Counterpoise Podcast.
Yep.
All right.
So thanks for listening, guys.
Appreciate y'all. Peace, everybody.
Peace.